Everyone in Washington is talking about the 5-day diplomatic window. Everyone is talking about the peace talks and the Pakistan summit and the 15 points of agreement that Trump says he has reached with Iran. And while all of that diplomatic noise is filling the airwaves and moving markets up and down by the hour, something was quietly confirmed by American intelligence officials that changes the entire physical reality of this war in a way that no amount of diplomacy can quickly fix. Iran has planted mines in the Strait of Hormuz, not rumors, not Iranian threats, not analysts speculating. U.S. officials who have personally reviewed current American intelligence assessments went on record with CBS News and confirmed it. There are at least a dozen underwater mines positioned throughout the vital passageway, according to current American intelligence assessments. And the specific weapons Iran chose to deploy are not the crude, unsophisticated mines of the 20th century. They are purpose-built Iranian weapons that were engineered specifically to defeat the countermeasures the U.S. Navy would use to find and remove them. This story is not about diplomacy. It is not about the 5-day clock. It is about the physical reality waiting underneath the water in the world's most important 21-mile-wide choke point, and why the answer to the question of when Hormuz reopens is not a matter of political will, but of military capability, mine-hunting technology, and time. Time that the global economy does not have. Let us start with what was actually confirmed and what it means. U.S. officials who have seen current American intelligence assessments and spoke to CBS News under condition of anonymity said the mines currently employed by Iran in the Strait are the Iranian-manufactured Maham 3 and Maham 7 Limpet Mine. These are not the floating contact mines that most Americans picture when they think of naval mines, the round black balls with spikes that you see in old World War II movies. These are modern, sophisticated weapons that Iran has spent decades developing, specifically for use in the Persian Gulf, and specifically to complicate American military operations in exactly this scenario. Understanding what these two weapons are and what they do to any mine-clearing operation is essential to understanding why Trump's 5-day window for a diplomatic resolution does not automatically mean Hormuz reopens in 5 days, even if a deal is somehow reached. The first weapon, the Maham 3, is a buoyant, moored, high-explosive mine that floats below the surface waiting for a passing ship. It is a 300-kilogram mine equipped with acoustic sensors to detect passing ships. It can pick up the acoustic signature of a nearby vessel from approximately 10 feet away. Because it is acoustically activated, a non-magnetic hull cannot defeat it. This last detail is critical. One of the standard techniques naval vessels use to protect themselves from older magnetic influence mines is to build hulls from non-magnetic materials or to run degaussing equipment that reduces a ship's magnetic signature. The Maham 3 does not care about your hull material. It listens for the sound of your engine, the vibration of your propeller, the acoustic fingerprint of your vessel moving through the water. You cannot silence a ship enough to fool it. The second weapon, the Maham 7, is a 220-kilogram bottom mine that can be deployed by small craft or even helicopters. It is intended for targeting smaller vessels like landing craft or patrol ships and can be installed in waters as shallow as 10 feet of depth or as deep as 300 feet. That shallow water capability is what makes it particularly dangerous for mine-clearing operations. Mine hunters cannot simply sweep deep channels. They have to work in waters shallow enough that the mines can sit on the seabed practically invisible, waiting. The Maham 7 is known as a sticking mine, and it is a more elusive naval weapon than anything the American public has been told about publicly. It is a compact, high-explosive limpet mine designed to rest along the seabed, relying on a combination of acoustic and 3-axis magnetic sensors to detect nearby vessels. And here is the detail that every American taxpayer funding this war needs to hear. The shape of the Maham 7 was engineered to scatter incoming sonar waves, which complicates detection by minesweeping systems, allowing it to remain concealed until a target passes within range. Read that again. The physical geometry of this weapon was designed to defeat the exact technology that mine-hunting ships use to find mines. The sonar pulse that a minesweeper sends out into the water bounces off a normal object and returns a clear signature. The Maham 7 is shaped so that pulse scatters and returns a confused, unclear signal. The mine looks like seafloor clutter. It looks like a rock. It looks like nothing in particular until a ship passes close enough and the acoustic and magnetic sensors trigger the detonation. Now let us understand the scale of what Iran has available beyond what is already confirmed to be in the water. According to a U.S. congressional report, Iran has around 5,000 to 6,000 naval mines in its total arsenal. That total includes many different types of mines: limpet mines that attach to hulls, moored mines that float below the surface, bottom mines that rest on the seafloor. The U.S. intelligence confirmation covers approximately a dozen in the Strait right now, 12 out of a potential arsenal of 6,000. And here is what makes that number terrifying in the context of this war. Iran still retains upward of 80 to 90% of its small boats and mine layers, according to sources familiar with U.S. intelligence reporting on the matter. Which means Iran's forces could feasibly lay hundreds of mines in the waterway if they chose to escalate the mining campaign. What is in the water right now is the opening move. It is a demonstration of capability and intent. The full capability is an arsenal of up to 6,000 mines and a fleet of small, fast boats that is still almost entirely intact and available to deploy them. Iran has not mined Hormuz. Iran has begun mining Hormuz. Those are very different situations, and the difference between them is measured in how many more ships Tehran decides to send out with mines in the coming days. Trump's response to the initial CBS News report on the mines revealed something important about how his administration has been managing the public narrative around Hormuz. He posted on Truth Social that if Iran has put out any mines in the Hormuz Strait, and we have no reports of them doing so, we want them removed immediately. The President of the United States, in the same sentence, said he had no reports of mines while also threatening consequences if the mines that he had no reports of were not removed. U.S. Central Command declined to comment when contacted by CBS News about the mines. Then Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth posted on X that at Trump's direction, U.S. Central Command had been eliminating inactive mine-laying vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, wiping them out with ruthless precision. The administration denied the mines, threatened over the mines, and simultaneously confirmed it was already targeting the mine-laying vessels. This is the pattern of a government that knows something alarming is true and is managing how and when that truth reaches the public. Here's what the Pentagon knows and what every American needs to understand about the military reality of mine clearing in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Navy recently decommissioned and shipped home 4 Avenger-class minesweepers from the Gulf. 2 of Central Command's 3 Independence-class littoral combat ships configured for mine countermeasures have been spotted in Southeast Asia, thousands of miles from the strait. When the mines went in, the mine hunters were not there to stop them, and getting them back and getting them into position requires first eliminating the Iranian anti-ship threat, which is the threat that has effectively closed the strait for 25 days, and which has not been eliminated despite 9,000 American combat flights and strikes on more than 9,000 Iranian targets. Naval analysts are explicit on this point. Iranian anti-ship threats would have to be thoroughly reduced before mine hunting operations could safely begin, because vessels engaged in mine hunting work are slow, non-stealthy, and completely vulnerable to the kind of missile and drone attacks that Iran has been conducting throughout this war. Former Central Command Chief General Joseph Votel said the worst case now would be if positive evidence of the strait being mined was found. He said that would really extend out the time for reopening, and that we probably have to assume there are mines in there right now. A serious mining effort by Iran could really complicate and slow things down. The former commander of all U.S. forces in the Middle East is saying that confirmed mining significantly extends the timeline for reopening. Not by days, not by the 5 days of Trump's diplomatic window. The language he uses, really complicate and slow things down, is the language of someone describing a problem that cannot be solved quickly regardless of political agreements. While it is technically possible to create the conditions for some ships to pass through the strait within days or weeks, restoring long-term sustained security to the strait could take months, according to analysts. Months, even in the best-case scenario where a diplomatic agreement is reached before the 5-day window expires. Even if Iran agrees to allow ships to pass. Even if Iranian guns and missiles go quiet. The mines do not go quiet. They sit on the seabed and they wait. Now connect this to your gas price. Connect this to the Goldman Sachs warning that oil prices could stay elevated through 2027. Connect this to the IEA's statement that the current energy crisis is worse than 1973 and 1979 combined. The reason the diplomatic resolution of this war does not automatically mean the strait reopens and the oil flows and the gas prices fall is sitting on the bottom of a 21-mile channel in the Persian Gulf. It has acoustic sensors and sonar scattering geometry and 220 kilograms of high explosive. And Iran has between 5,000 and 6,000 more of them available for deployment. About 20% of global oil supply flowed through the strait prior to the war, starting on February 28th. Domestic gas prices have risen by roughly $1 a gallon since then. More than 80% of the crude oil and LNG that passes through the Strait of Hormuz heads to Asia, meaning countries like India, Japan, South Korea, and China are watching this mine story just as closely as any American filling up at the pump. Every day that the mines sit in that water is a day that 15 million barrels of crude cannot safely move. Every day that mine hunters are not in position to clear the lane is a day that even a diplomatic resolution cannot translate into oil flowing and prices falling. Trump said the Strait of Hormuz will open immediately if a deal is reached. Iran's mines say otherwise. And U.S. intelligence officials, speaking on record to CBS News, have confirmed that the mines are real, they are sophisticated, they are designed to defeat American countermeasures, and the mine hunting capability needed to clear them is thousands of miles away. Iran knows exactly what it has done by placing those mines. It has created a physical problem that cannot be solved by a social media post or a Truth Social announcement or a 5-day diplomatic window. Mines require ships to find them, and those ships are not there. Mines require cleared Iranian anti-ship threats before mine hunters can safely operate. And those threats have not been cleared after 25 days of the most intensive American air campaign since Iraq. Iran has converted a political and economic dispute about the Strait of Hormuz into a physical and military problem that will outlast any political agreement reached this week. That is the strategic logic of mining the strait. It is not just about keeping ships out today. It is about ensuring that even when the political agreement to let ships back in is reached, the physical capability to guarantee their safe passage will lag behind by weeks or months. During those weeks and months, the oil does not flow at full volume. During those weeks and months, the prices stay elevated. During those weeks and months, your gas bill stays high and your grocery bill keeps climbing, and the Goldman Sachs forecast of prices above $100 through 2027 becomes more likely rather than less. A recent CBS News poll found that 62% of Americans disapprove of how Trump is handling this war. That number was collected before the public understood that mines are confirmed in Hormuz, before they understood that the mine-hunting ships are not in position, before they understood that even a diplomatic deal signed this week cannot guarantee that the strait reopens safely this week or next week, or possibly even next month. The political pressure on the Trump administration to show this war is going well is enormous. The military reality of mines on the seafloor of Hormuz is not cooperating with that political pressure, and the 5-day clock is ticking. Subscribe right now because Saturday is when this 5-day window expires, and what happens at that deadline will determine whether this war finds a way out or escalates into its most dangerous phase yet. And tell me in the comments, do you believe Trump's 5-day diplomatic window can actually result in Hormuz reopening safely? Or do you think the mines Iran planted have already made that impossible regardless of what any agreement says?